Hi everyone, thank you so much for joining us today. I'm Bruce Cadle. Hope you're having a great day. It's beautiful here on the east coast of Florida. I live in Melbourne, just south of the Kennedy Space Center. It's been a gorgeous day here. Hope you're having a gorgeous day as well. I'm really excited about the variety of authors that are joining us for today's seminar. All different backgrounds, all different genres. We've got some new authors that are just polishing their skills, and we've got some very experienced authors that have done very well in the past. And so I'm excited to have you here, and I'm really excited for you because I know that what you're about to learn is going to help you get more readers and sell more books. Now, I want to encourage you to just make sure and watch the entire training, because at the end I'm going to give you some free resources that you can download to help you start getting free publicity right away. Well, you're in the right place today. This seminar is for you. If you're a new author, maybe trying to figure out how to get the word out about your book, or maybe you're an experienced writer, but your books have never gotten the attention that they deserve. Or maybe you're self-published and you're kind of acting as your own marketing department. Or maybe you have a publisher, but they haven't really gotten you much publicity. Or maybe you're here today because you can't afford to spend lots of money on advertising. Or maybe you're trying to build a brand name for yourself. You want to attract a literary agent or a publisher. And you just want to increase your visibility, trying to become kind of your own brand. Well, free publicity can help you with all of those challenges. Now, I love these quotes from author Barbara Corcoran. Barbara is a multimillionaire real estate investor. She appears frequently on the Today Show as their resident real estate advisor, and she's co-star of ABC's hit TV show Shark Tank. Barbara says it's in the worst of times that publicity is your very best friend. And one of the reasons why that's true is because publicity is free. So it doesn't matter if you don't have a single penny to spend on promoting your book, you can get free publicity. Here's another quote. The most effective way to build a brand is not by spending millions in advertising, but by finding a clever way to keep your name in the press. And here's one more. Publicity is the easiest and cheapest way to have your business step apart from the crowd. Well, that's what we're going to learn today. How you, as an author, can keep your name in the press, and how to stand out above the crowd so people notice you. They notice your books. I'm going to show you the quickest and the easiest ways to get free publicity on an ongoing basis. Now, just a quick disclaimer. None of the things that I'm going to teach you today involve any kind of publicity stunts or gimmicks or anything like that. I'm going to teach you proven strategies that you can use to help get lots of free publicity for yourself and for your books. I'm also going to teach you 3 types of simple media releases that can help you become a brand name. They can increase your visibility online, and they can get you local or national publicity. I'm going to give you as much information as I can during our limited time together. This training will be probably 35 to 40 minutes long. I'm not going to take your whole day, but I'm going to just put as much information as I can into this teaching, and I promise I'll show you how to take it further. Well, let me introduce myself, and then we'll just dive right into the training. Again, my name is Bruce Cadle. I'm not a movie star or a celebrity. I am a best-selling author and an entrepreneur, and I've gotten millions of dollars worth of free publicity for myself, for my book, and for organizations that I've led. And honestly, I'm amazed that I've gotten millions of dollars worth of publicity, and I'm shocked at how easy it's been. But if I can do this, anybody can do this. I can teach you how to get lots of free publicity too. I've been featured, quoted, profiled, and appeared in thousands of newspapers, magazines, websites, radio, and TV shows in over 20 countries. Here's just a few of them: The Today Show, Fox and Friends, CNN, ABC, CBS, MSNBC, British Broadcasting, National Public Radio, iHeartRadio, USA Today, New York Times, Washington Post, LA Times, Chicago Sun-Times, even Rolling Stone magazine. I didn't get my picture on the cover, but I was in Rolling Stone magazine. Also a featured expert on About.com, eHow.com, and Selfgrowth.com. And I'm about to teach you the exact strategies that I've used to get all those interviews and all that publicity. But before we talk about how to get publicity, let me just take a minute to talk about the difference between advertising and publicity. Advertising costs money. It costs lots of money, but publicity is free. Advertising has a short life. The second that your ad runs, it's gone. But publicity builds your brand, and publicity stays online forever. I had one media release stay on the New York Times website for over 20 years. Advertising tells people what you have to sell, but publicity tells people who you are and what your writing has to offer. Advertising's adversarial. People know, oh, he's trying to sell me his book. And so their guard goes up. But publicity is relational. People really do get to know you. They get to know your backstory. They get to kind of see human interest side of you. With advertising, you've got a battle for attention among all your competitors, but publicity shines the spotlight on you. It makes you the center of attention. And let me just tell you, your potential readers and customers place far more credibility on publicity than advertising. And let me just prove that to you. If I were to ask you, who's the most famous doctor in America, who's the first person that comes to your mind? Bet it's one of these guys, isn't it? Probably either Dr. Phil or Dr. Oz. Now, Dr. Phil isn't famous because of his family counseling practice, and Dr. Oz isn't famous because he's a heart surgeon. They're both famous because of publicity. Here's another example. Let me tell you about a guy named Mike. Mike owns 2 retail stores. He's got several books out as well. But one of his retail stores is in Nashville, Tennessee. It's less than 3,000 square feet, but it has almost 4,000 shoppers every week, all because of publicity. Mike used to own a small bicycle shop in Iowa, and people would come to his shop and they'd tell him about old bikes that they'd seen in barns. And so Mike would go check out the old bikes, he'd buy them, and then he'd bring them back to his shop and sell them. And, one day he thought, people might be interested in what he's doing. So he started videotaping his explorations of old barns and the stuff he'd find in them and the people that he'd meet. And then he started presenting that idea as a possible TV show. And it took him 4 years of pitching that idea. But finally, a TV production company, liked the idea, bought the concept of a show. And now Mike's TV show, American Pickers, has over 5 million viewers every week. And almost 4,000 shoppers walk into just one of his 2 stores. Mike's net worth is estimated at $4 million, all because of publicity. Now, I know you may not have any interest in your own TV show, but the same types of publicity that made Dr. Phil and Dr. Oz and Mike Wolfe famous can help you become a brand name author in your town so you can attract lots of new readers and get lots of book sales. I'm going to show you exactly what to do to get free publicity on an ongoing basis. And the methods I'm about to teach you are the quickest and easiest ways to get local or national publicity. These methods work for publicity in newspapers, magazines, radio talk shows, TV shows, news, social media, and blogs. Anyone can follow these methods. Everything I'm about to teach you will get you free publicity. You don't have to pay for the publicity. And these are proven methods. These are the exact things I've done to get millions of dollars worth of free publicity. Now, the easiest and quickest way to get free publicity is through media releases. Media releases are kind of like press releases on steroids. Back in the day, press releases were mailed to newspapers to let them know about some newsworthy event. But media releases go out electronically, not just to newspapers, but to magazines, radio and TV stations, blogs, social media, and other websites. Media releases aren't complicated. They can be just one page of written content. Or you can add pictures. You can add pictures of your book cover, pictures of you. You can add audio files. You can add video, and even social media links. Now, I'm not going to spend much time on the format of media releases because at the end of the seminar, I'm going to give you a free download that explains exactly how to format your media releases. If you've ever used the old style press releases, or maybe you had a publicist or a PR firm that your publisher used, it was probably just to announce your upcoming book, and that may have gotten you 1 or 2 paragraph blurb in your local paper, maybe a small picture. Or maybe you issued a press release to announce a book signing, or an award, or new accreditation, or maybe you attended a writer's conference and used a press release. And those kind of press releases just usually result in a couple paragraphs in the paper, and they'll usually include a headshot if you provide it. The problem with the old-style press releases is that you don't get much coverage, and it's usually buried in the back of the newspaper along with several other blurbs about other local authors. So unless your potential readers notice that small blurb in the paper, you probably aren't going to see any increase in book sales. But the media releases I'm going to teach you to use have gotten me major coverage in the biggest newspapers and TV shows in the nation. One type of media release I'm going to teach you is the branding media release. It can help you become recognized as a local or even national expert so that newspaper reporters, radio and TV talk show hosts, producers, editors, columnists contact you for interviews. The second type of media release I'm going to teach you is internet media releases. Internet media releases increase your online audience. It gives you lots of visibility online and can drive lots of traffic to your website or to your book on Amazon. The third type of media release is the story media release, and that can get you front page articles in local community newspapers, local magazines, local TV. And after we look at these three types of media releases, I'm going to teach you the best ways to distribute your media releases to magnify your message. Well, let's start with what I call branding media releases. Branding media releases position you as an expert. Here's an example. Instead of just selling books on green living and health topics, Ron and Lisa Burris have branded themselves as healthy home experts. And so they offer helpful advice and tips that have gotten them multiple appearances on the Today Show. They've been on the Doctor's Show, Rachel Ray Show, Fox News, NBC Nightly News. They've been in magazines like Red Book Magazine and hundreds of other publications. Author David Zinzinko branded his Eat This, Not That concept. And that publicity based on that concept of helpful tips of what to eat, what not to eat, what to substitute, that led to a book, that led to 14 New York Times bestsellers, and David has sold a total of more than 10 million copies. He's built a multi-million-dollar brand, all based on branding himself, not just as an author, but as the Eat This, Not That expert. I'm working on a book I think is going to be more popular than David's, a book called Eat This and That. I think everybody's going to love it. Just a couple other pictures there of some local writers, friends of mine, Lee Boylan, that you saw just a minute ago. Lee uses his expertise. He writes fiction, political fiction, but he uses his expertise to get lots of radio interviews about current political issues. My friend Lisa Nardini and her sister Gina wrote a children's fiction called The Underwear Dare, and it's about bullying. That's just perfect to be able to get lots of interviews anytime the topic of bullying is in the news. Now, when I first started getting using branding media releases, it was back in the 1990s. I led a local nonprofit organization, but branding releases work for every type of author. I live on the east coast of Florida, so I started sending media releases to all my local newspapers, radio stations, Orlando area TV stations. And every media release was focused on short statements from me, just sharing my perspective on any news items related to the cause that my organization was involved in. I was positioning myself as someone with something to say about specific topics. And I started getting an occasional call, and then before long I started getting lots of calls from reporters and TV news crews asking for my response to something breaking in the news that I hadn't even sent out a release on. They assumed that because I'd issued media releases on a consistent basis in the past, sharing my perspective, that I'd have something to say about the current news stories that they were covering. Those media releases and hundreds upon hundreds of interviews that they resulted in positioned me as a local expert. All the TV reporters from Orlando, Florida, about an hour from where I live, had me on speed dial. They were constantly calling, asking me for interviews. Now, let me just tell you, there's a huge difference between being a guest on a TV talk show and being interviewed on the news, because news gets repeated over and over and over. For example, in Orlando, the NBC affiliate that I typically watch starts showing news at 4 o'clock, and then they repeat it at 4:30 and 5 and 5:30 and 6 and 11 o'clock at night, and then they start again at 4 o'clock the next morning, and just keep repeating a lot of the same news. So any interviews that you get to do for the news will get you major exposure. Local newspapers and TV stations love having local experts as go-to guests, people that they can count on to give a local perspective on breaking news. And so this is perfect for authors. You may think of yourself as only being the author of a book, but branding media releases can position you as an expert so that you can get lots and lots of attention to whatever cause, whatever topic, whatever genre that you write about. And the most important part of a branding release is the headline. It really is vital. Your headline needs to grab people's attention. And the best way to write a great headline is to go to yahoo.com. Just scroll down their homepage and notice the type headlines their stories use. You'll see national news, local news, human interest, sports, celebrity news, but they all use brief, attention-getting headlines. Just like David Zinzenko's "Eat This, Not That." What a great headline. It grabs your attention. It's easy to remember. And then for the content of a branding media release, just give your perspective on a particular topic related to your writing. For example, if you're a romance writer, issue a media release directly to your local media, just sharing your perspective every time dating or marriage stories or trends make the news. These really can, seeing yourself as someone with a voice related to your topic really can quickly change your focus from just trying to sell books to being someone with something to say that people want to listen to over and over and over again. Lots of easy ways to stay current with the news so that you've got things to speak about, to comment on. Google has a free service called Google Alerts. You can go there and just type in any word or phrase, and it'll instantly give you the current news appearing online. From everything from online news sites, websites, blogs, videos, books, even discussion groups. You can sign up to get alerts. They'll email you either as new news comes out or once a day. They'll send you a list of links to all the content, or once a week. And then as you look over those articles related to your topic, that gives you something to comment on. It gives you something current to refer to. Mention.com is another similar service that you can use. Feedly, if you're tech savvy, use Feedly. You can create your own feed that pulls information either related to specific keywords or from specific websites that you want to monitor. And if you really want to stay current, use Yahoo's Trending Now. Just go to yahoo.com, and in the top right-hand corner of their website, you'll see a little section Trending Now that shows you literally up to the minute the most popular topics that are trending online. Now, since I haven't gotten to work with you directly yet, I don't know about your writing, but I'd suggest just using Google Alerts, and don't worry about the others unless you need more topics or new things to comment on. So, branding media releases position you as an expert by giving you the opportunity to share your perspective on any news related to your book or genre. Branding releases are designed to be sent directly to your local media. I'll explain how to do that in a few minutes. And branding media releases help make members of your local media aware of who you are and what you have to say. They can get you some interviews in the short term, and in the long term, they'll help you become a go-to guest that the media will contact over and over again. I use branding media releases locally and got hundreds of local interviews, but those local interviews are what led to all of my national media attention. Those local interviews were noticed by national media. For example, because I did lots of interviews with my local Fox TV station, Fox and Friends National Show covered me. Because I did lots of interviews with the NBC TV station in Orlando, the Today Show called and asked me to be a guest. I didn't contact the Today Show. They called my office and asked me to be a guest on their show. Because a local newspaper interview that I did got picked up by Associated Press, within 2 weeks, 200 websites, radio stations, TV sites, and newspapers, including the New York Times and Washington Post, covered my story. Because I did lots of interviews with my local Gannett newspaper. USA Today has interviewed me many, many times. So branding media releases sent to your local media are a really big deal. There's my picture. I lost that earlier. Eat This and That. There's my upcoming book. Just wanted to show you. Now let's talk about how to increase your audience. Let's talk about internet media releases. Simon Brody uses internet media releases on a regular basis, and one of his releases resulted in more than 100,000 hits to his website. Over 100 radio interviews worldwide. He got a newspaper press in every country and national and international TV broadcast. Now, internet media releases aren't sent to local media outlets. They're actually posted online, and they're distributed through services like prlog.com and pr.com. I'll teach you more about those in just a few minutes. Internet media releases can use the exact same content as your branding media release with just a couple tweaks, but they have an entirely different purpose. The main purpose of internet media releases is to increase your audience online. Internet media releases utilize SEO principles to help two kinds of people find you: reporters and readers. Reporters, who maybe they're researching a topic or they're looking for someone to interview, they can find your internet media release online. And potential readers who are looking for books in your genre can find your internet media release. Now, internet media releases can be longer, but they don't have to be. The key is to integrate keywords related to your book in the release so that people searching for those keywords will find your press release. Here's an example. Let's say a reader's trying to find some new young adult fiction. Where do they look? Well, they don't go to the yellow pages. They go to Google. They Google something like most popular young adult fiction writers, and they'll see lots of different results. Most of them probably just links to writers' websites, but then they find a media release about you. Maybe it's about your book signing. Maybe it's just some comments that you've made about the trends in young adult fiction. Well, that grabs their attention because it's so different than the other search results. So they click on the release. They get to read about you, your books, your story. The media releases give you tremendous credibility, and it builds relationships. So they visit your website and they buy your books. Internet media releases can drive lots of highly targeted readers to your website. And so they should always include links to your website. Well, now let's talk about story media releases. These are the easiest for writers especially, and they're the most fun. Remember I said those old type of press releases usually only get you a couple paragraphs that are buried in your local paper? Well, I've used story media releases to get front page feature articles in local newspapers multiple times, and you can too. But these are entirely different than the other types of media releases we've talked about. So let me just give you a disclaimer here. Don't use this strategy for national media. It won't work, and they'll be offended. They'll be mad at you. But this works well for community papers like free weekly newspapers, free local magazines. And so instead of the format that I talked about for branding releases and internet media releases, you're going to write this release as if you were writing a newspaper story. So in this case, you're actually interviewing yourself. So write in the third person, include quotes from you, and include pictures. And not just a picture of your book, but a picture of you. Here's an example where I submitted a story media release to a popular local community newspaper. They edited it some, but they ran it on the front page with a big picture of my wife and I. And it got lots of attention. Right after that, we walked into church one day. We were attending a church back then of about 1,500 people. We walked into church one day. We sat down, and somebody walked in and sat beside us. We'd never met them before. But this lady looks over and sees my wife and I, and she goes, "Oh, I know you. I just saw you in the paper." And so it attracts lots of attention. I found that these little community newspapers, people really do read them. And they really can have even more loyal readers than the daily paid newspapers. Here's an example where I submitted a story media release to a popular newspaper, and literally I wrote the headline. This was for a seminar that I did for authors after I launched my my first book on Facebook. And so, I wrote the headline, I wrote the story. I even included my headshot, and they ran it exactly as it was. They ran the entire thing in TC Palm newspaper. And this works really well for any human interest stories, any kind of general feature stories about you or about your writing. Now here's the reason why the story media release strategy works. It's because newspapers, especially the smaller community papers, are severely understaffed. Lots of them use freelancers, and some of them only get paid $25 to $50 for every story they write. And so if you submit an article they can use, then they don't have to assign a reporter or a photographer. You just made their job easier, which is a huge key in getting lots of free publicity. Now, the story media releases can't be, an advertisement. It can't just be buy my book, buy my book. It's got to be something interesting. It's got to be an actual story about you. Maybe why you wrote your book, how you became a writer. But of course, it's going to talk about your book, and people are going to be interested, and they're going to buy your books. So, grab a copy of your local paper, look for an article that's been written about another author, and kind of notice the format that the reporter used, and then write a story media release based on your story and submit it to the editor of the same section of your local newspaper. I love Robert Kiyosaki's story. Robert wrote Rich Dad, Poor Dad, but he couldn't get a publisher. Nobody was interested. So he self-published his book. He ordered 1,000 copies, paid for them himself. And then he hired a publicist for $8,000 a month. I mean, he was going after this big time. He wanted to succeed. But after a month and a half, he'd spent $10,000. All he'd gotten was one radio interview from a very small college radio station. So he fired the publicist. He enrolled in a coaching program to learn how to get publicity on his own. And he started getting publicity, and that led to more publicity and more interviews and more interviews. Well, Rich Dad, Poor Dad went on to sell 26 million copies. So we've talked about how to use branding media releases, internet media releases, and story media releases. Now let's talk about how to distribute your media releases so that you can magnify your message. Trisha Anderson distributed releases every month, and one of her releases got the attention of a small national magazine that covered her story. Trisha told me she got 4,000 calls, emails, letters, and faxes. So here's how to distribute your media releases. For branding releases, you want to target local media. For radio and TV stations, just go to their websites and look for the contact button or the link. You'll probably see even a submit news story option or a contact form that you can use to email your branding release. Always put your release in an email. Never attach it to an email, or it'll probably get blocked. And for newspapers, it's very important that you target the appropriate reporter or editor for the type story that you're submitting. So look at the online edition of the paper that you want to contact. Look for the section of the paper that your writing relates to. And then at the end of each article, you'll probably see the reporter's name and email. And you can send it directly to them or to their editor. Some newspapers actually have a form that you can use just to submit media releases through. And so if they have that, be sure and use it. Joanna Penn sent a media release for her book to her local newspaper, and they ran this article. I mean, she lives in a city of 4.5 million people. They ran this article. Then this article led to a TV interview. Then that led to a blog post on an online magazine. Then the same paper did a follow-up profile piece, and then she got a feature article in a different newspaper, a free paper that had a daily reach of over 600,000 readers. Now, for internet media releases, first, put your release on Google+. I've had releases that I posted on Google+ rank on the front page of Google within 24 hours. And then internet media release services can charge anywhere from $99 to $499 just to distribute one release. But there are some free ones, and the best two free options are PR.com and PRlog.com. PR.com won't let you add images or video to your release without paying a fee, but PRlog.com does. It allows both in their free service. If your story has big potential, you can submit it to Associated Press, to their regional contacts. I think that's actually the wrong URL there. It's actually ap.org is the correct URL for them. And then always put your releases on your own website as well, because that helps readers find you. It helps members of the media find you, and they can look at other releases that you've issued, and they can get to know you better. And as you start to begin getting interviews, start building your own database of direct media contacts, because people that have interviewed you once are far more likely to interview you again, especially if you keep up a relationship with them. Artist Drew Brophy uses media releases all the time, and he gets lots of publicity in magazines and on TV shows. Now, remember that nothing I've shared with you is theory or stuff that might work. This is exactly what I've done to get multiple millions of dollars worth of free publicity. These strategies will work for every author, and here's why. Every newspaper, magazine, radio, or TV station depends on advertising to make money. The only way they can sell advertising is if they have readers, listeners, or viewers. And the way they get readers, listeners, and viewers is by constantly providing fresh content. They need you. They need your story, your tips, your perspective. It doesn't matter if you're just starting out or if you've published multiple books. Free publicity can help you attract more readers and help you sell more books. Now, I'm not sure exactly why you showed up here today. Maybe you're hoping to earn some part-time or even full-time income as a writer. Maybe you're tired of pouring your heart out into your writing and then you only sell 3 or 4 books a month. Maybe you believe your writing's just as good as the most successful writers on the New York Times bestseller list, but you've got to get your name out there and draw some attention to your writing. Maybe you're tired of doing book signings where your best friend and your mom are the only people that show up. Maybe you can't afford to advertise, but you know you've got to do something to get the word out about your books. Maybe your dream is to be a best-selling author, but you know you need lots of publicity in order to sell more books. I don't know your reason for coming here today, but I'm guessing you're ready to try something new, to find more readers and to sell more books. Well, you probably don't want to go back to business as usual, but imagine what would happen if your local newspaper featured you in a front page article. Imagine how many new readers you might get if people hear you interviewed on a local talk radio show and they see you on local TV. Well, if there's one thing to take away from this training, it's that I've cracked the code on getting lots of free publicity. But I don't have any superpowers. Everything I've done can be duplicated by you to help you get lots of free publicity for your writing. Free publicity really can help you get lots of new readers and help you sell lots of books. So the obvious question is, how can you apply these strategies so that you can start attracting more readers? Well, life is all about choices, and you basically have 2 choices. You can take what I've shared today, and I hope it's been really helpful, and you can put together your own publicity strategy. Or the second option is I can come alongside you and quickly guide you through the whole process. I'm about to launch a 4-week coaching program where I'll work with a small group of new and experienced authors to help you implement the strategies that have gotten me on the Today Show, New York Times, and hundreds of other newspapers, talk radio shows, TV shows, and magazines. So what is my coaching program? Well, it's a complete step-by-step system designed to take you by the hand and help you create the tools that you'll need to get a continuous stream of free publicity. Here's how my coaching program works. Week 1, I'll show you exactly how to write your first branding release, how to position yourself as an expert, how to write great headlines. At the end of week 1, you'll have a finished professional quality branding media release. Week 2, I'll show you how to increase your visibility online through SEO. I'll teach you how to search engine optimize your media releases so that they rank well on Google, Yahoo, and Bing so that reporters and readers can find you. I'll teach you how to add links to your media releases that point to your website or to your book on Amazon, and I'll teach you how to submit each release directly to the search engines. Then week 3, I'll show you how to write story media releases. I think these are the easiest and they're the most fun. And week 4, I'll show you how to set up free accounts and then let you look over my shoulder as I use PR.com, PRlog.com, and Google Plus to submit press releases, media releases. 1 month from now, you can be getting free publicity and have a simple system in place that you can repeat over and over to continue getting free publicity for yourself and your books year after year after year. Now, in addition to the weekly training, I've got some bonuses for you. The first bonus is a private members-only Facebook group. I'll monitor it every weekday so that you can ask any questions you may have, and I'll give you custom guidance to make sure that you succeed as quickly as possible. Second bonus is a resource package of media release templates. These are fill-in-the-blank templates that you can use to create your branding releases, internet releases, and story releases. And just the media release template package is valued at $99. And then the third bonus, this is huge, is a media database with contact info for over 20,000 members of the media. These are local and national, newspapers, magazines, radio, and TV. And that media database alone is valued at $499. And then the final bonus is a directory of free media release services. You'll get a complete list of 50 free media release services so that you can distribute your media releases to as many places as you want. Well, I know you're thinking, okay, Bruce, this sounds great, but what's the cost? Well, the total investment for all 4 weeks of coaching, the private daily support group, the fill-in-the-blank media release templates, the media database, the distribution list, the total investment is only $199. And enrollment is limited because I want to be able to interact with you as much as possible over the next month. But I also like to reward action takers. So the first 10 people to enroll save 50%. So if you act now, the entire coaching program and all the bonuses are yours for only $99. I mean, think about it. $99 can get you a very small ad in your local newspaper for one day, or a banner ad on a website for 1 week. Or you can enroll in my coaching program and get free publicity for the rest of your life. Now, I know you're going to love the coaching program. You're going to get lots of value from it. But if for any reason you aren't satisfied or you decide free publicity just isn't right for you, I offer a 30-day unconditional 100% money-back guarantee, no questions asked. Or if for some reason you miss some of the training, don't worry. I'm going to record everything and you'll have lifetime access to it. I'll literally coach you step by step. 30 days from now, you can be getting publicity. Now, my coaching program is the fastest and the easiest way for you to start getting publicity, and it's the safest way because I'll be teaching you all of my proven strategies. There's no need for trial and error, no need to go out and make a bunch of mistakes. I've already made them for you, and I'll help you avoid them. So here's what to do now. Just click on the yellow button under this video. You'll see a secure order page, and you can click on Checkout if you'd like to pay with a credit card or debit card, or click on PayPal if you'd like to use your PayPal account. So just go ahead and click that Enroll Now button to be able to get signed up, and really encourage you to be one of the first so that you get the 50% discount. I just want to thank you for joining me today. I hope this has been really helpful. I look forward to getting to know you in my coaching program. I look forward to helping you get lots of free publicity. And if you're here today and maybe you're not interested in my coaching program, I still want you to have the free resources that I talked about earlier. So just send me an email at bruce@perpetualpublicity.com. Tell me what you write. Tell me a little bit about yourself, and I'll send you a media release format guide, and I'll send you some other free resources. Thank you again so much. Look forward to seeing your name and your book in the headlines of the paper. I look forward to hearing you interviewed on the radio and TV. And I look forward to seeing you on the bestseller list. God bless. Have a great day.